Okay, friends, now we are ready to uh, generate our first Flutter project. And before we do that, we're going to set up the download listener. We talked about this earlier. So we have this download listener.java, which we had downloaded last time. I'm going to compile it using the Java compiler. Simple. Just we now get the compiled program, which is download listener.class. What I've also done is created a batch file, which we're going to use to run this program. So let's see what that file is. Let me show you this command. Now we will run using the Java command, the program that we just compiled, download listener. And we're going to give it 3 parameters. The source directory is where the downloads would arrive, and that's the directory that's monitored by it. So this is, I'm pointing it to the downloads folder where my browser downloads the files. Then we give the app name. App name is Harry Potter, which is same as the mnemonic that we had used when we were building the app. So this is how it will know which files to extract. And the target directory is Flutter and the project folder. So basically what we're saying is look for downloads of the Harry Potter project arriving in the downloads folder and copy everything to our target folder. We need to run it once. So that's it. It's running in the background and it's monitoring it. You just have to make sure that's running all the time when you are working with the designer and generating the Flutter projects. So we come back to the IDE, and already the project is there, which we had built just now. And now we go to generate Flutter project. And we do generate. So when the generate completes, if we come back to this window and we see the log, it says that some file came and recognized that there is a certain file which was a generated project, and it has extracted the files, extracted 11 files. Okay. Now we go back to our IDE. Those files are in here, and we can just simply run the new project. Okay, here we are. So we're looking at the first application that we built and generated. It doesn't quite look as doesn't quite look like what we had seen the app when we were building it. We're just going to fix it in a minute. First of all, this link is completely ineffective because we have not yet provided the function behind this button. So if you are following this, and when you actually start building apps, and if you have come to this point, this is a major milestone, because the mobile development environment is very, very notorious for being sensitive to version changes, dependencies, and what we're looking at here at PubSpec.yaml is a representative or a snapshot of the dependencies that are there now. It's quite possible that the environment you have may be using an older version of SDK, or there are a lot of things that can change. And when you apply these dependencies, you may end up with something that throws an error. It doesn't compile. So these are common situations in any app development, right? And I'm assuming that if you come across those errors, you will go to Google and figure out, look for the solution. You would either fix the version number of these dependencies or whatever the solution is. And then if you are able to run your first project, which means all that the mess of managing the dependencies and the versions and everything has been sorted out for you. So from now on, it should be smooth sailing. So here is our app. Now let's just quickly go back and make some changes. Go to the home page, and we're going to change some properties for the home view. And that property is we're going to check the center flag, which means the content we want it to be centered instead of being just rolled up at the corner of the page. And one more thing we're going to do is the label of the welcome line, right? We will change it to Harry Potter app. And let's just do the generate again. Notice that I did not do the deployment because we can deploy at regular intervals. We don't have to do it with every change. Okay, and we do this run the application again, and let's see if something changes. It does. The label has been changed. It's been put into the center, and we can see that we have this menu which has one link which will take you to the home. Because we did not provide an icon, it's using a generic icon. But if you can browse the material design icon library and change icons as you go forward. Now the next thing we're going to do is to tell the application that something needs to be done when we click on ZOAPIIO.com. Okay, so let's do that. And what we're going to do is with the home view, or rather with the home page, we're going to add element called the page flutter, right? So this is actually Flutter code that will handle the interactivity of the page. Okay, we just drag and drop into the editor window. Okay, here there's a little help for you. It says you can create a void init function. This function is called when the page is initialized. And what we want to do when the page is initialized is to create a listen command. Listen as in yeah, okay. So I've copied and pasted this code, which I will walk you through now. First thing is we import a package from the Dart library, which is the URL launcher, because we want to launch a URL when that button is clicked. Very simple, a single line function here. We are saying the $app, which is our global reference to the app, and we are saying listen on the event pressed, the name of the page, the name of the element. And when that event is fired, we want to do something which is plain Dart code. We create a URI and we call the method launch URL. It's really quite simple. Just you will need to brush up with some of the Dart concepts like async and await, and you may need to look up the documentation of URL launcher. So that's it, very simple function which has allowed us to create a handle for the button. And now we're going to do a generate Flutter project again. And let's run the project. Okay, so we see the screen. Let's click on this and see what happens. Okay, sure enough, it launched the browser. Okay, some of the things it expects. Okay, so it will launch the home page of ZOAPIIO, which should be quite familiar to you by now. Okay, so far we have now completed our Hello World app, which is a simple app, a simple single page, and a small amount of interactivity and programming. So at this point, you should have a pretty good idea of the development model of how ZOAPIIO does mobile app development. Right? In the coming episodes, we're going to take up each and every page one by one, and we're going to build them. But here's a short note. If you're watching this tutorial not for the purpose of doing development, but for the purpose of evaluating or doing a tech understanding of how the platform works, perhaps at this point you would have seen every aspect or every part of how the application building is done. So you can stop. I mean, that should give you enough idea about evaluating if that was your objective. And if you're actually building, please continue with the remaining episodes. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.